Hey, welcome to Sparks. Man, life seems really busy. If you're anything like me, between school and family and sports and all the other stuff that keeps our schedule full, there are times when you just want to stop and chill and have some alone time, right? And that's cool, right? But when I talk to some of my middle school friends, though, they often talk a lot about feeling lonely. And when I was a kid, and this was a long time ago, right? But when I was a kid, for a time, I lived with my mom. She was a single parent. I spent a lot of time alone, and back then, the television was my best friend, but TV only had three channels, and that's with an antenna, right? And TV stations actually went off the air at night at a certain point, and I think it was like around midnight or something like that. So they didn't broadcast anything at night on TV. So there was nothing to watch. I didn't even have a pet, right? So I was an introvert, maybe like you, which meant I was okay by myself, but I was lonely a lot, right? And so I knew a lot of people, but I didn't have a lot of friends, right? I often wondered, what was wrong with me? And I read a lot of books. I think because there wasn't anything else to do. And books are kind of like movies, at least in my head, right? But it was still an isolating activity. And when I was growing up, there was this game called Kick the Can, which is about as boring as it sounds, right? You literally entertain yourself by kicking an empty can of soup. Sounds pretty lame, right? Yeah, it was. And so I also learned to do things that didn't require other people because there weren't a lot of other people around, right, for me to hang out with. So I played catch with myself by throwing a tennis ball against a wall. And it's a little crazy because I lived in a city and was surrounded by people all the time. And often I still felt alone, much of it. Do you ever feel that way? Sometimes it seems like everybody else has something fun and exciting to do, right? You look at IG, you look at Facebook, see all the cool things people are doing, right? They're cooking, they're hanging out with their friends, they're on vacation, they're doing all sorts of fun stuff. And it can feel like it's a reminder of what you're missing out on, right? And how can all these people have such cool lives, right? Even group texts can get a little intimidating, right? Because you can feel alone and left out because you don't have anything to contribute. Or maybe it turns into crazy drama and you'd rather be alone than deal with all that nonsense anyway. So it can be hard. Even with social media and all access to all kinds of people all over the world, you're still kind of by yourself. And I have a few friends now that tell me that they're so lonely, and they work at home, right? They go days without talking to anybody or seeing anybody. And sometimes these people go to the grocery store just to be around other people or have somebody to talk to. They talk to the checkout person, right? You think that's crazy? It's really not. When you think about it, why do you think so many people hang out at Starbucks and places like that, right? Sometimes you're meeting up with your friends, I get that, right? But many times those people are by themselves. If you watch them, if you go there and kind of hang out and see, most of the time it's an isolating activity and they're there so they don't have to be alone. Now, if this were a sermon, right, you might hear the pastor say something like, you aren't alone, you have Jesus and he's your best friend and he's always there like a good dog, right? By the way, spell dog backwards. And what do you get, right? That's a little joke. I think God gave us dogs so we would always have someone or something to keep us from being alone. I really do. Jesus was alone a lot of time, right? His disciples were seen as weird and crazy. So they were alone a lot too. But people are wired for connection to one another. And we're social animals. We need other people and relationships with each other. So what happens when you don't get that kind of connection? Right? How do you deal with loneliness? Aside from, having more people around you, which, okay, I get that. Or trying hard to make friends, that's always fun, right? You put yourself out there and you get rejected or it doesn't get reciprocated, that's a problem, right? This may sound weird, and it doesn't always work, but I have found that sometimes you can get over your loneliness with something like kindness. Yeah, really. find a way to help someone. It can be, I don't know, helping a kid carry their book bag when you see they got so much they're trying to carry too much stuff. Or maybe you encourage them at PE because you know they're not very athletic and not very good at it and they got to climb the rope or whatever they have to do, right? Maybe you offer part of your lunch to some kid in the cafeteria because he still looks hungry, right? It's not like you're throwing away the food and, you know. Or maybe you're offering to help somebody with a class assignment because you know they're not really good at math or good at science or good at writing. So if they're struggling, that might be something you can do. There's all sorts of examples, but I think you get the idea, right? So extending kindness is likely to result in the person responding in a positive way. Why? It was unexpected and it actually helped them, right? Yeah, you might get some people who look at you as if you're weird. Some people might reject your help and your offer. Or maybe they don't react well to the help because they take it the wrong way. But even if they don't do that, or even if they do that, right? The acts of kindness can make you feel like you have a purpose. It gives you something to do, and it can make you feel good about what you're doing for doing something for somebody else. Have you ever noticed that? If when you do something nice for somebody, you kind of feel good as a result of doing that. At the very least, you don't think about being lonely for a while when you're kind to others. You help someone. Whether they appreciate it or not, it doesn't change the fact of how you should feel about yourself. So there's this great quote, and I'll leave you with this, by Robin Williams, a comedian. He says, "Everyone you meet is fighting a battle you know nothing about. Be kind always." All right, so go chew on that for a while and let's talk about it soon.